Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of FSD Doctor Talks. This episode is called Stress, the Hidden Load on Your Body. We often think of stress as just feeling anxious, tired, or overwhelmed. But stress isn't just in your head. It's in your hormones, your metabolism, your sleep, your immune system, and even your muscles. It's probably the most common yet least understood cause of fatigue, high blood pressure, weight, and inflammation. Today I'd like to do a deep dive on how stress actually affects your body. Not just psychological stress, but metabolic stress, sleep stress, and all the invisible loads we put ourselves through. And we'll save the how to fix it part for the next episode. Today is all about awareness, understanding all the forms of stress your body faces every single day. I'll start with what stress really is. In medicine, stress isn't just a feeling. It's a threat to balance, what we call in medicine as homeostasis. When the brain sends a threat, whether emotional, physical, or metabolic, it triggers a powerful mechanism in your body called the HPA axis. It composes of the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal glands, which are all part of your endocrine system. They release cortisol and adrenaline, which are the survival hormones. These hormones help to mobilize energy, raise blood pressure, and switch off things that are not urgent, like digestion, reproduction, and tissue repair. That's useful if you're running from a tiger. But what's the problem? Today's tigers never go away. Your phone pings, your glucose spikes, you sleep poorly, and you scroll late into the night. Your body can't actually tell the difference. It thinks that you're always being chased. And that's how chronic stress starts to quietly take over. I'll start by talking about the different kinds of stress. Let's first unpack where the stress comes from. The first kind of stress is metabolic stress. This comes from what and how we eat. Frequent sugar hits, refined carbs, constant grazing all push insulin and cortisol higher. Your body constantly lives in a low-grade metabolic emergency. That's why stress, inflammation, and weight gain often travel together. The second kind of stress is psychological and social stress. Work deadlines, family conflict, financial pressure, loneliness. Your brain interprets these like physical dangers and triggers the same stress response. Heart rate rises, digestion slows, sleep becomes shallow, and you start feeling wired but tired. The third kind of stress is sleep stress. This one's a silent killer, guys. Less than 6 or 7 hours of sleep a night flattens your cortisol rhythm. The morning cortisol remains high, your hunger hormones, leptin, etc. go off balance. You crave carbs and sugar, and this causes your metabolism to slow down. Sleep deprivation is like running your engine all night with no oil change. The fourth kind of stress is physical stress. Exercise is actually a good kind of stress. We call that eustress. But overtraining, poor recovery, or sitting too long can flip it into the negative stress. This causes your muscles to ache, your joints to flare up, and recovery lags behind. Even chronic muscle tension like jaw clenching or shoulder tightness is a physical stress signal. The fifth kind of stress is environmental stress. Noise, screens, artificial light, pollution, and even caffeine. These micro stresses constantly activate the same brain regions and we barely notice it. And finally, developmental and trauma stress. Early life adversity or long-term emotional strain. This resets your body's stress thermostat. You start adult life with a higher baseline cortisol level and a lower resilience to cope later on. So when you layer all these together, metabolic, emotional, physical, environmental, and sleep, you create what we call allostatic load. That's the total stress your body carries, and that's really the number that matters. The common pathway, no matter where the stress starts, it ends up in the same biological circuit, the HPA axis, and the sympathetic nervous system. Adrenaline increases, blood shifts from the gut into the muscles, heart rate and blood pressure rise, inflammation kicks up. That's fine in the short term, but when this system never switches off, the body loses its ability to reset and repair. The cortisol stays constantly high, your insulin rises, your blood pressure creeps up, and so the inflammation becomes chronic. Over months or years, this leads to real disease, heart disease, diabetes, and gut disorders, and even accelerated aging. I'll just explain how stress shows up in your body. Let's walk through your body system by system. In the brain, the chronic stress shrinks the hippocampus, that's your memory and focus center, and overactivates the amygdala, which is your fear center. You start to feel anxious, distracted, forgetful, and emotionally flat. Now coming to the heart and blood vessels, cortisol and adrenaline raise blood pressure. They thicken the artery walls. Over time, that's hypertension and heart disease. In your metabolism, because the cortisol increases blood sugar and insulin, you gain fat around the belly. You feel tired after meals and you crave junk food. Now coming to your immune system, at first stress actually stimulates the immune system or the immune response, but chronic stress starts to suppress it. You catch colds easily, you heal slower, develop low-grade inflammation. In your gut, stress changes the gut motility and the microbiome balance. You feel bloated, you get reflux or irritable bowel type symptoms. You eat the same foods, but suddenly they stop agreeing with you. In your muscles, the stress makes muscles tense. You get neck pain, jaw tightness, headaches, and that constant stiffness that never goes away. Now sleep. Cortisol is very important for sleep regulation. It keeps you alert at night. You wake up at 3 a.m., mind racing, heart thumping, then you're exhausted the next day, and that fatigue itself becomes another stress. Now, what are the early signs to watch out for? If you're wondering whether your stress load is high, here's what to look for. You feel unrefreshed even after 7 hours of sleep. You crave caffeine or sugar to get through the day. You feel mentally scattered. Your heart rate and blood pressure are elevated. Your gut feels unsettled most of the time. And your muscles ache more than they should. Each of these ways is your body's way of saying, I'm overloaded. Let's pull it all together and do a quick recap. These are the key messages. Stress is not just emotional, it's biological. Your body's entire survival network running too long, too fast, too often. Metabolic stress from diet, sleep stress from poor recovery, and physical stress from overactivity or inactivity for that matter, and emotional stress from pressure and worry, and also in environmental stressors from overstimulation. They all pour into the same funnel, the HPA axis, and the output is inflammation, fatigue, and loss of resilience. When that system breaks down, we start calling it disease. But often, it's not disease, but it's just chronic stress in disguise. My closing thoughts are here, guys. You can't always control the world outside, the job, the family, the traffic, the phone, but you can totally control what your body faces. Right now, most of us are under-recovered, overstimulated, and metabolically stressed. Just recognizing that is powerful enough, because when you start seeing stress as a biological state and not just a feeling, you can measure it and manage it. And you can start training your body to return to balance. That's what I'd like to cover in the next episode, how to actually de-stress the body through sleep, movement, nutrition, and recovery. For now, I'd like to leave you with one question. What kind of stress have you been ignoring? Is it metabolic? Is it emotional? Or is it sleep? Because your body doesn't separate them. It all just adds up. And when the total load becomes too high, that's when things start to break down. This is Dr. Hafiz Salim. You're watching FSD Doctor Talks. Drive safe, stay strong, and keep your stress in check for your longevity and your peace of mind. Watch out for the next episode. Would really welcome your questions or comments and ideas for new videos. Thank you very much.